What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about something that I feel like is a pretty hot topic as of late in the cryptocurrency space, and that is altcoin season. When is altcoin season going to start? What's it going to look like, right? Because a lot of people ask when it's going to start, and the when is so hard. That's why for months now, all the YouTubers, myself included, we've been promising you alt season, and it just hasn't happened. It's going to happen. Promising that it's going to happen is not hard, but when, the timing is the hardest part. But why not, instead of just focusing on the timing, focus on what alt season would look like? There are ways that we can measure this too, what we could expect the average altcoin could do, the average performance for the average coin, so that we all know, no matter what we're holding, we could at least expect a 2x, a 3x, a 10x. What is that average going to be? It's probably not going to be a 10x, but hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys. That's the purpose of this video. No stuttering, hopefully. And let's get into it here. So we are sitting at about 58.4% on the Bitcoin dominance chart. We're going to be using this chart at first, and then we will look at some other charts as well. BTC.D, for those of you that don't know, this is the total Bitcoin market cap relative to the total crypto market cap in a percentage form. So essentially this is saying Bitcoin owns 58.4% of everything that is crypto when it comes to a dollar value, right? Bitcoin is 58.46% of the value in crypto. Does that make sense, right? If every Bitcoin was sold at the exact price Bitcoin's at now, and the rest of crypto, every single coin in crypto sold at this exact price right now that they're at, Bitcoin would be 58.4% of that hoard. Okay, anyways, I think we all have a very easy or simple understanding of this chart, right? Looking at the monthly chart here, we are overbought. This is the first time on the chart's existence that we've actually been in the overbought zone. We got overbought real quick and then we dumped out. That's actually a very good look if you want to see some lower readings come into play. Generally, these kind of looks do not sustain momentum in this kind of high area in the RSI. Generally, a look like this would lead to something that corrects a little bit more, at least to the 50, if not even lower than that. And if you look at this thing, you look at the monthly RSI as a whole, you can see you've got these higher lows here, you've got these higher highs kind of coming in line here. It would make sense to go at least down to the 50 area. And something like that, it might not be the most dramatic crash this thing's ever seen on an RSI basis, but that would be enough to get things started, certainly for alt season. I definitely think that would lead to some kind of drop. But at this rate, at least looking at the RSI like this, the drop might be less than this drop was, and in turn, of course, less than this one was, which might spell for a rather eruptive yet abrupt alt season. Okay, so just be prepared for that. It might be a shorter alt season than seasons or cycles that we've seen before, but I'm not necessarily calling for that now. I'm just seeing that in the readings there. Of course, it doesn't have to be like that. And you know, to be completely fair, I was reading somewhere that Ethereum does house 24% of what remains. You know, if Bitcoin's 58.46%, Ethereum is that like 20% of the remaining percent that would affect Bitcoin dominance to come down. So essentially, what I'm getting at by saying that is, if we see a more tame drop, and I'm calling for, if we see a more tame drop, that might offer the perspective that the average coin might not see as dramatic of a growth as we've seen in prior alt seasons, right? We might not see that. But if we also offer up the perspective that perhaps Ethereum doesn't pump that much, maybe Ethereum has a rather lackluster pump, that could also give us a little bit of conclusive perspective. Maybe not conclusive, I shouldn't say that, but it offers the perspective that the dominance could drop not as far, and then perhaps alt season is quote unquote normal. We do see altcoins at large pump, but if the dominance doesn't drop that hard on Bitcoin, perhaps that's because Ethereum doesn't pump that hard, which Ethereum, of course, being the second largest crypto, would affect the dominance the most. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know how much sense that makes, but I'm just trying to offer up some perspective there. Okay, so we're looking at the relative low here. I would expect that we do get a drop pretty soon, something that would take us below 50%, 46% to 44% or lower, of course, would be the expectation. Being the most overbought on the monthly, it certainly would stand to believe that we are due some kind of correction. Not only that, but you have higher highs in the RSI while promoting lower highs in the readings themselves. That is hidden bearish divergence, and technically that would normally make me think that you're going to see a lower low, not a higher low, but something down nonetheless is what this is calling for. Okay, so looking at the weekly time frame here, we're looking at the weekly time frame now, and we were overbought over here, and we've dipped all the way down to the 40, pumping back up, showing some neutral readings now. What are we doing relative to this here? A little consolidation, a little high to low. What are we doing here? 786 down to your 382 and back up to your 618 where you're finding resistance now. That would actually be a good look. If the dominance, you guys can hold resistance here and we can continue to drop, we can see this thing drop. If we get below 57% on the dominance, I would say officially altcoin season is on. So that's a nice line in the sand that we can just kind of measure right there. 57%, technically a little bit above it, but we'll say 57%. If you want to be real strict or you want to be conservative, let's say with your notions of declaring altcoin season as officially beginning, then I would say 56% is a little bit more conservative, or of course you could go for the lower low, but by that time we're going to drop a lot already. It would be a bit of a lagging indicator if you called for a lower low than that. And I suppose it's lagging at any of these rates, but it's more lagging the further away that we get. All I'm trying to say is 57% for me would do it. That would convince me that altcoin season is officially beginning. We're beginning the descent of this next move on the Bitcoin dominance chart, which would reflect very well for altcoins. But if you want to be more of a stickler about it, or you want to be, you need more evidence, I think 56% or even 54.5% would do. But personally, 57% is enough for me. 58.47% now. It doesn't seem like that's that far away, but it's a pretty good move away, right? We'd have to see altcoins pump, or at least not dump as hard as Bitcoin, which normally that's not the case. So let's look at the daily time frame now. Want to look at this here, 618, finding resistance there, looking like it, dude. It looks like we're gonna turn around. Sorry, I just said dude, man, guys, bro. It looks like we've got lower highs here, rejecting the overbought zone. Now it looks to be that we are rejecting the 60. These are good looks if we want to see this thing come down, and I think we will. Again, the fib level itself is rather suggestive that we are going to go to the downside. And the way that I derive that is we've gone from being productive, finding some resistance on the 0.5, support on the 236, breaking through the 618, going all the way up to the 786, right? It looks like we're stair-stepping upwards, but now we've hit the 0.5, rejected the 618, went down to the 382, finding resistance on the 618, and then breaking below the 382 would give us that stair-stepping structure to the downside now. And that's why I think breaking below the 382 is what's a vital kind of stance in recognizing altcoin season is beginning. So that's my thoughts there. The daily RSI does look a little bullish. I will admit, I think it does look a little bullish, but relative to what it's doing at the 60 level here, the bullish area of control, the lower highs that you have here, I'm under the impression that you could break down. And being at your golden ratio from the high to low here, it would make sense that you break down. I want to look at the 4 hour real quick. The 4 hour looks bearish on the RSI as well, actually. Okay, the daily I wouldn't say looks bearish, but it has the capabilities of looking bearish, especially if you see that dominance drop over the coming week. And the weekly, I think it's neutral, but it's starting to look bearish. It would make sense if we went to the oversold zone more so than the overbought zone, right? At least that's my interpretation. Normally, I have a little rule, and it's not foolproof, but it's a little rule that I've constructed myself over the 8 years that I've done technical analysis, and it goes something like this, right? When you're oversold, you will not go back into the oversold zone until you hit the overbought zone if you cross above the 50. Okay, so if, and I wouldn't call that a cross, I'd call that a rejection. So here, rejecting the 50, sure, you could have gone back into the oversold zone. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's something I've noticed as far as like the way of things happening. That's generally how it happens. But when you get above the 50, okay, now that means you're not going to get oversold again until you at least get overbought. You got overbought, and what do you know? Now you get oversold. And it's the same thing for the upside. If you're overbought, you will not get overbought again until you hit the oversold zone if you break below the 50. So if you didn't break below the 50, if you found support above the 50, I'd say that there's a chance you could have gotten overbought again before getting oversold again. Does that all make sense? I'm making a point out of this for a reason, okay? Because if you go back here and look, right, oversold here, you got above the 50, but you still got oversold before, you didn't get overbought before you got oversold again. It's not a perfect kind of thing, but then here, oversold, okay? You rejected, you didn't break above the 50, so you got oversold again, but then once you got above the 50, you did not get oversold until you got overbought, and at which case you then got oversold. Actually, here you got overbought. Again, it's not perfect, but generally speaking, it works. I would say more than half the time it works. It's a good kind of rule of thumb, if I'm just being honest. You won't find that anywhere. You won't find that in a rule book. I mean, maybe you will. Maybe somebody else has identified this, but it's a kind of simple way to give like prejudice to this thought, right? And I know the word prejudice is so bad. It has a negative connotation, but prejudice really just means whenever you think about something, it's like that automatic thought without actually thinking about it, right? Prejudice is bad when we put it in a social context, but to have a prejudice toward a chart in the way of thinking like, oh, we've been overbought and now we're below the 50, my prejudice would be that we go to the oversold zone before we get overbought. Does that mean that it's always going to be accurate? No. It's not, right? Just like actual prejudices or bad prejudices. But all I'm trying to say is likely by all this, by the means of everything I've said, overbought, bounced off the 50, we got overbought again. Bounced off the 50, we got overbought again. Broke below the 50, likely we get oversold before we get overbought again, which would lead me to believe if the weekly is going to drop to the oversold zone, we would then see the dominance drop continue to correct as well. And once that happens, you guys, it's going to be really bullish. Now we're going to get into some other exciting things besides just talking about the RSI and the fibs. We're going to talk about some time frames, okay? Looking at this here, if we go to the very first kind of dumpening we had of the Bitcoin dominance here, this began over here. We had a Bitcoin halving in July 2016 here, okay? July 2016, right there. On a monthly basis, you know what, let's do a weekly basis. I think that would serve us better, probably. Weekly basis. It was July 9th, 2016 was our Bitcoin halving here, okay? I would say, obviously, we were dropping a little bit throughout, but I would say we didn't officially start to dump until probably about here, right? So 34 weeks. 34 weeks after the halving, that's when the dominance started to really dump, when we saw alt season, that 2017, 2018 alt season, miraculous alt season that we just never have seen the likes of since, other than in the meme coin markets, really. That's back when like every crypto was kind of a meme. I'm getting beside myself. All I'm trying to say, 34 weeks, it was a miraculous time, relishing the memory of it itself. So 2016, that was the halving there. The next halving was 2020, May 11th or May 10th. I think it's May 11th, 2020. So May 11th would have been over here this week. And we topped here, no discussion there at all. That's when the dominance started to tank. It tanked more here, but it definitely started to tank here in 33 weeks, 34 weeks, 33 weeks. That's very close. I mean, that's too much to be a coincidence in my opinion, especially when you're throwing the halving in there, cyclical kind of nature in the timing of the crypto markets. Okay, now we take our current halving, which is April 20th this week. It says the 15th, but that's the week, right? The next week was the 22nd. So April 20th was this week. We go to this high here, and that was 31 weeks, 31, 33, 34. Damn, man, it's close. It's close, isn't it? Would you say that we started to dump? Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. Maybe this time it's 40 weeks, and in which case we're overdue. But you guys, the timing, it's right. It's perfect. We are about to see, if you thought this was nice when we dropped, you know, in the middle end of November to the beginning of December, if you thought that was nice for altcoins, what we're about to see is going to be more miraculous, likely a larger drop in the dominance, okay? And it probably starts now, if not by, I mean, we got 3 days and 20 hours left in this week. If not by the end of this week, certainly by the end of this month. I would think next week, if not this week, we start this dropping in dominance, right? Everything is kind of iffy on these like shorter term time frames, but then you get into the really shorter term time frames and it's looking a little bit more bearish, I would say. These iffy time frames, if that bearishness from the shorter time frames turns iffy on the daily time frame into bearish, turns iffy on the weekly time frame into bearish, then we're likely going to get a bigger drop than this, which of course would lead to a bigger pump in the overall markets. Now, there's one last thing that I want you guys to watch for, right? And this not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but this is just my opinion, okay? There's one last thing that I think people should watch for whenever it comes to Bitcoin dominance, okay? And that probably would be, a lot of people would tell you Ethereum. Watch Ethereum. Ethereum's been lackluster this cycle, and I think it's going to do well. I really do think it will. Donald Trump and Melania, like the Trump family, have been supporting Ethereum behind closed doors kind of since they got into the cabinet, right? Like they spent a lot of money. I think Trump spent about $100 million on projects that were all on ETH on his like first day. If it wasn't $100 million, it was definitely tens of millions of dollars. He spent a lot on ETH. And of course, you know, his meme coin's on Sol, and Melania's meme coin is on Sol. So maybe it's important to consider Solana in this too. I don't know. All I'm trying to say, I'm getting all distracted here, is that a lot of people would say pay attention to ETH. When ETH starts moving up, that would likely signal not only is the dominance going to drop, but that's going to signal an altcoin rally as well, because ETH is kind of the mommy to a lot of altcoins in the space. But so is Solana. And then beyond all that, XRP, you guys, being at $180 billion market cap, I think it has a chance to flip ETH this cycle, right? There's that whole narrative going around. XRP was, it was the number 2 coin before the SEC sued them, so maybe it deserves that spot. I don't know. All I'm trying to say is everybody is saying watch Ethereum. When Ethereum starts to pump, that's when altcoin season begins. But I would offer that as truth, and then offer XRP and Solana as well, because Solana is a mommy to a lot of meme coins and a lot of other coins as well, right? Ethereum's more of a mommy to a lot of serious projects, right? Solana, not so much the serious projects. It's a lot of meme coins, right? Ethereum doesn't have as much trash, and I think that a lot of people see Solana as this thing that's better than Ethereum. But the reality is, all of the better projects, like from a fundamental level, the better projects, they're on Ethereum. All the pump and dumps, they're on Solana. So which one's going to have the longevity? I'm sure Ethereum does, at least as of now, right? All the projects that are like built to last, and they bridge, of course, you know, but all I'm trying to say is, I think it's still relevant. Don't think that it's not relevant, but I also think XRP, and I wasn't going to say Solana, but sure, Solana are relevant too. So watch for those to pump. If we're looking at ETH real quick, ETH USD, and I'm going to make a video on ETH later. ETH on a weekly basis, it's at a good area to pump right now. I would say it's actually at a good area to find support and move up. It looks like it does want to move up to new all-time highs, and hey, we're holding that 382. I think that's fine. The daily actually would suggest that we want to go down though. A little bit of confliction there. So let's see how we look at the end of the week. But I'll do a more in-depth video on this in a second. I want to look at XRP real quick, maybe on a monthly basis. I mean, we're breaking out to new all-time highs, man. We're basically in blue sky breakout zones right now, man. We're gonna do good. So that's good. That is ominous for the upside for not just XRP, but probably for all of crypto, because again, XRP moving up, you guys, think of it this way. XRP is number 3. If XRP moves up, that's going to help the dominance move down, which is a signal to the whole space that alt season's ready, right? That's why it's good if XRP pumps. You don't have to like XRP, you don't have to like Ethereum, you don't have to like Solana, but if these 3 together pump, the dominance for Bitcoin likely will go down, right? If those 3 pump while Bitcoin pumps and they don't pump, and Bitcoin doesn't pump as hard as these 3, the dominance will come down just with these 3 alone, let alone the rest of the market doing their thing, right? So that's why we want to root for XRP and Ethereum, not because necessarily you want to see them do well, and of course I think we should want to see them do well, of course, but because them doing well makes the dominance not do well, and that is a big signal. It's a big signal that a lot of people are waiting for, right? Solana is the last one, okay, and so I think XRP just looks phenomenal. Solana also looking very phenomenal as well. So the only one that needs to pick up the slack is the number 2, which basically has the same market cap as XRP and Solana, to be completely fair. It's actually got a bigger market cap than both of them. So XRP and Solana moving up are not enough alone. We need Ethereum to start showing up. We've got 2 out of 3. Solana looks hungry for some upside, dude. It literally looks like it wants to break out to new all-time highs this week or next week, very, very soon. And XRP is the same. Ethereum's the only one that's lagging, so that could throw things off with the dominance, but I'm assuming it won't for too long, right? It might postpone alt season for like another week or 2, or maybe even a couple of weeks, but I'm assuming that it's coming any day now, right? And you will see, even without alt season being in full effect, you'll probably see various cryptos starting to pop off here over the coming weeks, I suspect. So I got nothing else that I want to say, guys. I feel like we've gone over everything. So hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Alt season is upon us. And as far as the when goes, right, that's what I wanted to talk about. Some of you might not feel like I answered that, but I feel like I did with the halving analysis we did here, which would have been April 20th to where we are now. It's 40 weeks. We topped off here at 31 weeks. To me, this is conclusive evidence that we are either already in the beginning of our drop, hence in the beginning of alt season, we've already commenced it, and that's what that move was, and I think that that's a fair way to analyze that. Or you could say we're at 40 weeks now, we are overdue. So as far as when is altcoin season going to happen, I was gonna measure others too. I totally forgot, man. We're gonna do one more thing. I'm sorry, guys. That's not professional at all, but we're gonna do one more thing at the end of this video, okay? But when is it gonna happen? I don't know. We're overdue. I think it's going to happen soon. This week, next week, sometime very soon. How much are we going to expect the average altcoin to move up whenever we do see altcoin season begin? That's what I wanted to answer, right? Because when is the hard question. Let's try and answer the question it's not easy, but it's easier to answer, and that's where are these coins going to go? If we take the relative price of the overall altcoin market cap, we take it to the minimum target of this fib, when we break out of all-time highs on the others chart, I have no doubt in my head that's where we would go, no doubt at all. So the next move likely when altcoin season begins, will take everybody up about 144% to about 385%, somewhere in that range. I'm expecting the average altcoin to perform about 140%, maybe to about 223. Maybe we could see that by the end of February, March, somewhere in that time. But we'll see. Something in that kind of area of growth is what I'm expecting, which is nice, man. It's definitely nice. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys for real now. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.